And potassium's always trying to leak out, and sodium's always trying to leak in. So who keeps it fixed? Sodium potassium pump. And what is the millivolts of a resting neuron? Minus 70 millivolts. Minus 70 millivolts. All right? So tell me about a graded potential. Where does a graded potential occur? On the neuron. On the dendrites and on the cell body. And so a stimulus, what does a stimulus do to that membrane? What happens? A stimulus of any sort, by the way. Let's make that clear. So a chemical stimulus, mechanical stimulus, or a voltage stimulus. It opens, bless you, sodium channels. The bigger the stimulus, the more sodium that comes in. The farther away from the stimulus point, the less sodium that's coming in. So it fades away over time, like a rock in a pond with the ripples decreasing. So then we have the action potential. Where is the go, no-go decision made? At the axon hillock, which is where the axon attaches to the cell body. And it has voltage-gated sodium channels. So what opens a voltage-gated sodium channel there? What voltage? Minus 55.
Minus 55.
Although some texts say minus 50. So minus 50, minus 55, somewhere in there. I guess it depends on how the researcher was reading the dial. I don't know why there's a variance. And then sodium floods the inside of that cell, and it goes all the way, which way? Back up toward the cell body or out toward the axon terminal? Which way does it head? She just keeps going. Right, down, away from the cell body. That the electrical signal is always unidirectional. It always goes from the cell body out, down the axon to the axon terminal. Which, again, there's not very many alwayses in physiology, so grab onto them when you can. So here's one. That signal never goes backwards. If we need a message to go the opposite direction, we put in a neuron facing that way, with its dendrites going this way and then back up with the axon. And that's what a sensory neuron is called. So we're looking at, for your homework though, we're looking at a motor neuron as our model. And I believe that's about as far as we got. Yeah? Got through the action potential. Whoops. Yeah, let's look at those questions just there. I just realized we didn't do those bigger questions. Let's do it now. All of these are true about an action potential except for one. Which one? And I didn't review some words. What does depolarize mean?
More.
Right, less negative, more positive. All right, repolarize, what does that mean? Goes back down, resets, returns. And then hyper, more negative, more negative. So which one of these is the exception about an action potential? See, there's another one I didn't review. It's okay. See if you remember it. Stuck. Here we go. D is the correct answer. So the threshold, which is when the sodium gates open, that's at minus 55. Once the sodium gates open, and all the sodium gates open once the threshold is reached, so that's why C is still true, then the potential goes all the way up to plus 30. I left that off in my review. So it goes all the way up to plus 30. At plus 30, the sodium channels close, the potassium channels open, potassium repolarizes the cell. But during an action potential, the membrane is not hyperpolarized. It is after the action potential, however. We haven't talked about that yet. So the membrane does go more negative afterward. Too much potassium is thrown out. So that's why D is the correct answer for this one. Now, if a drug, there's some critical thinking, the drug lidocaine blocks sodium channels. So if sodium channels are blocked in a neuron, what happens? The drug lidocaine does block sodium channels. So what would be true? I haven't talked about what a refractory period is yet. The rest of those we talked about.
What'd you say the drug was?
Lidocaine.
Lidocaine?
It's a topical, well, not topical. Yeah, it's an anesthetic. I'm trying to think of well, it can be topical. It can be applied as a gel, but it's usually injected before they do a little biopsy or before they sew you up. It is used as a gel directly over the gums right before the dentist injects your gums to decrease the pain of the injection.
Nice.
So this is how the drug lidocaine works. It blocks sodium channels. So when it blocks sodium channels, what happens? What do you think? It's a critical thinking question. Local. Oh God, there's the adjectives I was looking for. A local anesthetic. Whoa! I was really working my adjectives. It's like anesthetic. It's not. It doesn't put you out. We wouldn't be able to get an action potential, which is why it numbs you. There is no action potential. That doctor could just cut out a big old chunk of your skin and you don't feel it at all. Because action potentials are not being generated when the sodium channels are blocked. So remember, sodium channels, their role, they're going to depolarize the neuron, which will send the neural impulse to the brain and tell the brain that, whoa, something's cutting on me, something's sewing on me. But lidocaine, there are no action potentials. You're still being cut on, but your brain doesn't know it. Now, when it wears off, your brain knows it because neurons were damaged in that cutting process and now they're firing rapidly once the sodium channel block is removed. But until then, you don't know about it.